The wind howled across the empty landing pads of Outpost Vega, carrying with it the faint scent of ozone from the nearby starship engines. Captain Marcus Kane sat on the edge of his worn cot, staring at the cracked walls of his small quarters. Life on the edge of explored space was quiet, too quiet, and for a man like him, quiet meant dangerous in ways he hadn't yet learned. The colony thrived, but its safety was fragile, dependent on the fragile shield of human ingenuity and sheer luck. Marcus had chosen this life because he liked the solitude, the quiet hum of engines, and the sense that he mattered in ways that didn't require applause. Here, among the scattered settlements of humans at the edge of the galaxy, he could be responsible for his own survival and no one else's. That was, until the night she fell before his door. The sound of a thump echoed across the metal walkway. Marcus frowned. Visitors were rare. His hand instinctively went to the sidearm he kept holstered at his hip. Another thump. Then a weak, gasping voice. "I can cook. I can clean, just don't send me back." He froze, unsure whether it was real or a hallucination. The voice was soft, trembling, urgent. Marcus swung the door open. There, sprawled on the cold metal floor, was a figure unlike any human he had ever seen. Her skin shimmered faintly in the dim corridor light, pale with hints of violet that seemed to pulse with her shallow breathing. Her hair glinted silver and her eyes, Marcus blinked twice. They were a bright, unnatural violet that seemed to burn with intelligence, fear, and something else he couldn't name. Without thinking, Marcus knelt beside her. "Hey, can you hear me?" he asked gently, lifting her head into his lap. She let out a small, raspy gasp, nodding weakly. Her limbs were long and delicate, but she had strength hidden somewhere beneath her exhaustion. I can't go back," she whispered again, clutching at his uniform. They will kill me." Marcus frowned. Who will kill you?" Her eyes fluttered closed as a shiver ran through her body. "My world, they do not forgive failure." Marcus could feel the tension in her small frame, the fear that radiated like heat. He glanced down the empty corridor, considering his options. Alert the authorities, and she would be taken away, interrogated and probably executed. Hide her, and he risked his own life and the fragile safety of the colony. But looking at her now, he couldn't bring himself to send her back. She was human enough to understand fear, pain, hope. That was enough. He carried her inside and laid her gently on his cot. His quarters were small but tidy. Tools and engine parts lined the walls, a workbench cluttered with half-finished projects, and a small hydroponic plant glowed faintly by the window. He stripped her armor carefully, noting its unusual design. It was light, flexible, with patterns that seemed almost organic. A strange bracelet on her wrist flickered softly, sending out a quiet pulse of light. Marcus frowned. Whatever technology this was, it wasn't human. "You need water," he said, handing her a cup. She took it with trembling fingers, sipped slowly, and set it aside. "Thank you," she whispered. Her voice was musical but weak, with a strange accent Marcus couldn't place. "You're welcome," he said. "I'm Marcus. I live here. What's your name?" Her eyes darted around, wary. "Call me Lyra," she said finally, as if saying it aloud made her real in this world. "Please don't send me back. I can be useful." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "Useful how?" "I can cook, clean, repair small things." "I can learn your ways quickly," she said, each word measured, careful. "But they will find me if I leave this place. I cannot go back." He studied her carefully. She wasn't lying, she was desperate. And desperation, Marcus knew, often made people dangerous or valuable. He sighed, torn between duty and morality. "You're hurt," he said finally. "We need to get you stable first. Then we'll figure it out." She nodded, closing her eyes again. "Thank you." Marcus spent the next hour tending to her injuries. Her skin was warm but fragile, and she flinched at the smallest touch. Her breathing was uneven, shallow. He applied salves and bandages carefully, all the while keeping his eyes on the faint pulses of her bracelet. It was sending out a quiet signal, one he didn't recognize. "What's that on your wrist?" he asked, pointing. Lyra opened her eyes and glanced at it nervously. "A tracker, a beacon, they will follow it if it activates. I did not mean for it to turn on here." Marcus frowned. He had dealt with pirates and smugglers, but alien technology was something entirely different. He needed to understand what he was dealing with before it became a threat to everyone in the colony. "Where do you come from?" he asked. Her face tightened. "Far from here. A place humans would call unyielding. My people, they are disciplined, harsh. Failure is not forgiven. I made one mistake and it marked me for death." Marcus nodded slowly. That explained her fear, her insistence on hiding. But it also meant that keeping her safe would not be easy. He needed to think fast. The faint hum of engines outside reminded him that life went on, indifferent to the crises that humans and aliens faced. He would need allies if he wanted to keep her alive. And allies in this colony were cautious, suspicious, and stubborn. "I have to trust you," Lyra whispered suddenly, her violet eyes wide and unblinking. "I have nowhere else to go." Marcus met her gaze. There was honesty there and fear. But there was also something else, resilience. He could feel it. She was not helpless. Humans had a way of recognizing determination in others, and he could see it in her, shining despite the terror in her eyes. "I'll do what I can," he said finally, "but you have to stay hidden. And you have to be careful. One wrong move and, well, you saw the outside. They won't hesitate." Lyra nodded, swallowing hard. "I will obey. I will help. Please just do not send me back." For a moment, the room was quiet except for the hum of the hydroponics lamp and the faint pulse from her bracelet. Marcus sat back, rubbing his temples. He had spent years preparing for emergencies, for threats, for the unknown. But nothing in his experience had prepared him for this, an alien fugitive dependent on him and carrying the weight of a civilization's judgment. Hours passed. Lyra slept fitfully, twitching and murmuring in her strange tongue. Marcus kept watch, studying her features, the subtle movements of her body, trying to anticipate danger. Something about her was more than alien. She was clever, adaptable, and perhaps the most human thing he had met in years. Then the bracelet flickered violently, sending out a series of rapid pulses. Marcus froze. The device had activated, sending a signal somewhere, somewhere far away, somewhere that wanted her back. He glanced at Lyra. She stirred, eyes opening wide. "They are coming," she whispered. "Soon." Marcus's mind raced. The colony wasn't ready for a fleet, not even a scout vessel. They were isolated, outgunned, and too small to resist an organized attack. Yet he knew that humans had a history of survival against impossible odds. Against everything that should have destroyed them, humans endured. And perhaps this night would be another test. He grabbed his communicator. "Control, this is Kane. I need a full security alert. Possible incoming ship. Unknown origin. Repeat, unknown origin." The response was static, delayed, uncertain. By the time they realized something was coming, it would be almost too late. Marcus turned back to Lyra. She looked at him, silent but terrified. "They will not stop," she whispered. "If they find me," her voice broke. Marcus gritted his teeth. "They're going to find you no matter what, but we're going to fight smart and we're going to survive. That's what humans do." Her violet eyes shimmered with a faint, appreciative light. For the first time since she had collapsed, there was a glimmer of hope. Not complete safety, not yet, but hope. And on the edge of the galaxy, under the faint glow of distant stars, Marcus Kane made a promise to himself. He would protect her, not because he owed her, not because anyone else could, but because humanity, when tested, always found a way to rise above. The first pulse of a distant fleet lit the sky, far enough that it seemed a soft glow against the horizon. But Marcus knew it would not stay distant for long. And as he prepared for the coming night, he understood that this small, fragile alien woman had just turned his quiet life into a battle for survival, ingenuity, and something far more human than technology could measure: courage. The colony's horizon glowed faintly as the distant Lights of approaching ships cut through the darkness. Marcus stood on the observation deck, Lyra beside him, both watching the silent pulse of alien technology closing in. Her violet eyes reflected worry, but there was determination there too. She had survived worse than exhaustion and fear, and she wasn't about to surrender now. "They'll be here within hours," she whispered. "My people, they will not negotiate, they will take me by force." Marcus clenched his fists. "Then we make sure they don't get the chance. This colony is small, but humans have a habit of surviving where no one expects it." "We'll use that," she tilted her head. "How? You are human, fragile, you are clever, yes, but fragile." "Fragile, maybe," he said with a wry smile. "But humans survive because we're unpredictable, we improvise, and we fight smarter than they expect." For hours, Marcus moved through the colony, rallying engineers and volunteers. He explained the situation without giving unnecessary details that might spread panic. "We have one chance to protect someone who came to us in need. I don't care what your orders say. This is about survival, about doing the right thing. Are you in or out?" The volunteers hesitated, but humanity's instinct for action won over hesitation. Slowly, engineers and technicians joined Marcus, bringing tools, sensors, and old ships from the hangar. Lyra watched, studying their movements, noting how humans worked as a team. She began to see why Marcus trusted them, and why he believed humans could survive impossible odds. By nightfall, the colony transformed. Old starship engines were repurposed as decoys, holographic emitters scattered to create phantom ships, and sensor arrays recalibrated to confuse approaching scanners. Marcus moved like a conductor, orchestrating chaos into strategy. Lyra assisted, lending knowledge of alien systems. Her experience with stealth technology proved invaluable. Together, human ingenuity and alien expertise formed a shield no one could have predicted. Hours passed. The alien fleet drew closer, their sensors probing, seeking, and missing the decoys Marcus had set up. The colony held its breath. Every shimmer on the observation deck, every faint flicker of light, could signal detection or doom. "They are closer," Lyra said, her voice steady now, more confident. "You've confused their sensors, but only for so long. They will scan the colony directly soon." Marcus nodded. "Then we need a plan B. Everyone knows their roles." They all nodded. Marcus turned to Lyra. "You've been quiet. Any ideas?" She hesitated, then stepped forward. "Your defenses are clever, but they do not account for what they cannot predict. Humans, you improvise. That is your strength. You can change the rules in ways they cannot understand." Marcus grinned. "Exactly. But we need specifics." Working through the night, Marcus and Lyra devised traps and false signals that mimicked the colony's life support systems, luring alien scouts into phantom corridors and empty hangars. They rigged old ships with emergency thrusters, creating distractions to draw attention away from the colony. The humans followed orders with precision, inspired by Marcus's calm and decisive leadership. Even those who doubted themselves found courage, fueled by the urgency and the unspoken belief that humans together could overcome anything. By the time the first scout ship arrived, the colony was ready. The alien vessel hovered silently above the main landing pad, scanning for signs of the fugitive. Marcus held his breath. The decoys blinked to life, emitting signatures that mimicked crew movements and engine power. Sensors in the fleet misread the colony's layout, and the scout fired, only to be trapped in a web of holographic projections. It detonated harmlessly away from the settlement, leaving a glowing trail across the sky. Lyra's eyes widened. "You did it. They fell for it." Marcus shrugged. "Beginner's luck, or maybe human instinct." He smiled faintly, but his focus remained sharp. They were not safe yet. The main fleet would arrive soon. Hours passed, tension stretching tight over every mind in the colony. Engineers worked tirelessly to maintain the decoys, sensors, and improvised defenses. Lyra moved among them, teaching alien countermeasures and troubleshooting systems. Her knowledge was proving invaluable, and humans began to respect her not just as a fugitive, but as a partner in survival. Then, a new signal appeared on the observation screen, a large alien ship, easily double the size of anything the colony could hope to defend. It was the fleet's command vessel. Its sensors swept the area systematically, focused, precise. Marcus's stomach tightened. "They're coming directly for us," Lyra said, her voice calm but tense. "If they find me, the colony will not survive their wrath." Marcus took a deep breath. "Then we make sure they don't. Humans survive when we're counted out. Let's remind them of that." As the command ship descended, Marcus led a small strike team to the hangar. Using old ships rigged with thrusters and holographic projections, they prepared a trap to mislead the fleet into overextending their approach. Lyra stayed behind, assisting with sensor calibration and power distribution. Every movement was calculated, but the situation remained unpredictable. The first wave of alien fighters arrived, scanning for her. Marcus and his team deployed the decoys, drawing the fighters into false corridors and fake hangars. Explosions lit the sky as drones collided with decoys, giving the colony precious minutes to strengthen internal defenses. Lyra guided them, her knowledge of alien tactics allowing humans to anticipate moves that would have been impossible without her. In the command center, Marcus watched the display screens, noting every movement, every deviation from predicted paths. Humans were learning, adapting, and improvising faster than the aliens expected. Lyra smiled faintly at him. "Your people, you are clever even without experience," Marcus chuckled. "We survive because we must. That's human nature." Hours of tense maneuvers passed. The fleet, growing frustrated, tried a direct scan of the colony's core systems. Marcus and Lyra had anticipated this. They triggered the decoy network to simulate a total system shutdown. Lights flickered across the colony, power seemed lost, and vital readings showed catastrophic failures. The alien fleet misread the situation. They assumed the colony had been abandoned or destroyed. A moment of silence followed, broken only by the soft hum of the colony's backup generators. Then Lyra's voice rang out. "It worked. They believe we are gone." Marcus allowed himself a small smile. For now, he knew it wouldn't last forever. The aliens would investigate, and eventually, someone would discover the truth. But for tonight, humans had survived where survival seemed impossible. The colony erupted in quiet celebration. Engineers cheered, exchanging relieved glances, knowing they had faced annihilation and survived. Marcus moved among them, proud but weary. He found Lyra near the command console, observing the aftermath. "You did well," he said. "So did you," she replied. "Your people, you are not weak. You are adaptable. You fight with your mind as well as your body. It is impressive." Marcus looked at her, recognizing the truth in her words. Humans were not the strongest physically, not the most advanced technologically, but their ability to think, adapt, and cooperate was unmatched. This was the essence of humanity, and why they could survive against impossible odds. Their moment of relief was short-lived. A sudden alert flashed on the main display. A scout from the command ship had bypassed the decoys and landed near the edge of the colony. Marcus's eyes narrowed. "They've found a way through. We need a team to intercept them quietly. No alarms, no fights we can't control." Lyra stepped forward. "I will go, I know them. I can move without being detected." Marcus hesitated. "It's too dangerous, even with your skills." "I have survived worse," she interrupted. "And if I am captured, everyone here will pay the price. Let me do this, trust me." Marcus studied her. Her confidence, her bravery, the quiet strength that had brought them this far, it was undeniable. "All right," he said finally. "But you do exactly as we plan. No risks we can avoid." She nodded, eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. "Understood." The night stretched on as Lyra prepared her approach. Using narrow corridors, shadowed paths, and the colony's knowledge of the terrain, she moved like a ghost. Marcus and a small team monitored her progress, hearts hammering with tension. Every second counted. Every mistake could mean discovery and disaster. Hours later, Lyra returned, carrying the alien scout. She had disabled its systems, avoided detection, and returned without triggering a single alarm. Marcus stared at her in disbelief. You did it. Alone." "I was never alone," she said, a small smile forming. "Your people taught me patience, strategy, courage. I adapted." Marcus nodded slowly, feeling the weight of her words. Humans had survived countless challenges not because of strength alone, but because they could learn, adapt, and improvise. Lyra had done the same, and together, they had proven that even the smallest, weakest-looking individuals could change the tide of a battle. The night passed in tense vigilance, the colony holding its breath, waiting for the main fleet to act. But Marcus knew that even now, the bond between humans and Lyra had changed everything. They were no longer just protecting a fugitive. They were defending a symbol of resilience, adaptability, and courage. Humanity's strength, he realized, was not in weapons or numbers, but in the mind, the heart, and the will to survive. By dawn, the alien fleet had withdrawn, temporarily fooled by the humans' ingenuity and Lyra's skill. Marcus looked at her, violet eyes glinting in the morning light. "You survived tonight," he said softly. "And so did we, but the fight isn't over." Lyra nodded, her gaze steady. "No, but tonight, humanity proved why you endure, why you survive. I understand now." Marcus allowed himself a faint smile, tired but proud. Humans were underestimated, often dismissed as primitive or weak. But in the darkness, against impossible odds, they had risen. They had adapted, survived, and even thrived. And that, Marcus knew, was the essence of being human. The first rays of the distant sun touched the colony, casting long shadows across the landing pads. For a brief moment, everything seemed still, peaceful, and alive with quiet triumph. But Marcus knew this peace was temporary. The aliens would return, and the trials were far from over. Yet for the first time he felt hope, not just for the colony, but for what humans could achieve when their courage, ingenuity, and resilience were put to the ultimate test. He turned to Lyra, watching her study the horizon. "We survived tonight," he said. "Tomorrow we'll be ready for whatever comes next." She nodded, and for the first time she seemed at home among humans, adapted, capable, and unbroken. And as Marcus looked around at the colony, alive with engineers, volunteers, and determined hearts, he knew that humanity would always endure, no matter the odds. The colony was quiet at first light, but the calm was fragile. Marcus Kane stood on the observation deck, scanning the horizon with Lyra at his side. The distant alien fleet had retreated temporarily, but he knew their withdrawal was strategic. They would return with more ships, better sensors, and stronger resolve. Lyra watched the rising sun with her violet eyes, calm but alert. "They underestimated you," she said softly. "They thought humans were weak, fragile, but tonight they learned otherwise." Marcus nodded, rubbing his jaw. "They may have learned it now, but that doesn't mean they'll stop coming. We have to prepare for the inevitable." For hours, Marcus and Lyra led the colony in fortifying their defenses. The engineers recalibrated the decoy network, enhanced sensor feedback, and repurposed old ships into mobile traps. Every resource was stretched thin, every person had a role, and every action had purpose. Lyra trained the volunteers in stealth and strategic positioning, her knowledge of alien tactics proving invaluable. As midday approached, a large shadow fell over the colony. The alien command vessel had returned, this time with a squadron of fighters and drones. Marcus's stomach tightened, but he forced himself to remain calm. "Stay focused," he said. "We're going to do what humans do best: we adapt." The first wave of drones swept in, scanning systematically for Lyra. Marcus's team activated the decoy network, creating false heat signatures, holographic projections, and engine activity across the colony. The drones collided with invisible barriers, misread sensor data, and became trapped in the maze of human ingenuity. Lyra moved with precision, directing small teams to intercept drones silently. She had adapted to human strategy, understanding improvisation and unpredictability. Together, they created chaos the aliens could not anticipate. The alien fighters landed near the central hub, trying to breach defenses. Marcus activated mobile traps, causing energy fields to flicker and divert the attackers into blind corridors. Explosions erupted in carefully calculated sequences, leaving the invaders disoriented. Amid the chaos, Lyra intercepted a group of alien soldiers attempting to locate her. She moved swiftly, disabling their scanners and leading them into dead ends. Her agility and knowledge of alien tactics gave humans the upper hand, turning a desperate situation into controlled advantage. Marcus observed the unfolding battle, noting every movement, every reaction. Humans were improvising constantly, using technology creatively and thinking steps ahead of the alien invaders. Engineers adapted weapons for precision strikes, volunteers guided decoys, and Marcus coordinated every move with calm authority. Lyra's presence amplified their effectiveness, merging alien knowledge with human ingenuity. Hours passed. The command vessel attempted to adjust its strategy, but every move was countered by human adaptability. The aliens underestimated the value of improvisation, and the humans exploited it fully. Lyra's insight into their tactics allowed the colonists to anticipate attacks, reroute resources, and protect critical systems. Marcus realized something profound. Humans did not rely solely on strength or technology. They relied on thinking, adapting, and working together. That combination, heart, mind, and courage, was something no alien force could easily defeat. The aliens, frustrated and confused, began to retreat. The command vessel hovered briefly, scanning the colony as if trying to understand how a small settlement could resist their superior forces. Marcus met Lyra's gaze. "They're leaving," he said, "but they'll be back." "Yes," she replied, "but now they respect you. They see what humans can do." The retreating fleet left a stunned silence over the colony. Engineers and volunteers cheered quietly, exchanging exhausted but triumphant glances. Marcus allowed himself a moment of relief, knowing that the colony had survived against overwhelming odds. As the adrenaline faded, Marcus turned to Lyra. "You could have stayed hidden, escaped, or let them take you, but you chose to fight alongside humans." "I learned from you," she said simply. "Your people, you are resilient, clever, and courageous. I could not hide while you risked everything." Marcus smiled faintly. "Humans survive because we adapt. You saw that firsthand." The two walked through the colony, inspecting damage and checking systems. Lyra moved with confidence now, helping humans repair critical structures and teaching them ways to anticipate alien movements. Her skills, once desperate tools for survival, became instruments of collaboration and trust. In the aftermath, Marcus called a council meeting. Representatives of the colony gathered, tired but eager to hear their leader's thoughts. "We have faced what many would call impossible odds," Marcus began. "We were outnumbered, outgunned, and underestimated. Yet we survived because we used our minds, our creativity, and our courage. Every person here contributed to that survival, and one person in particular, Lyra, helped us see the value of combining knowledge and adaptability." The council nodded, impressed by the truth of his words. Lyra stepped forward, her violet eyes shining. "I came here seeking safety, but I found more than that. I found humans who do not give up, who think, who fight, and who care. I have learned from you, and now I will stay, not as a fugitive, but as a partner." Applause echoed through the council chamber. Marcus felt pride swell in his chest. Humans had not only survived, they had inspired respect, not just from allies but from an alien who had once considered them weak. Days passed. The colony rebuilt, stronger and smarter than before. Lyra integrated fully, teaching humans new techniques while learning their ways. Her knowledge of alien technology became a resource for defense and innovation. She adapted quickly, proving that humans and allies from other worlds could achieve more together than alone. One evening, as the sun set over the distant mountains, Marcus and Lyra stood together, observing the calm skies. The previous night's tension felt distant now, replaced by quiet hope. "You have changed this place," Marcus said. "And in doing so, you've changed how humans see themselves. They see what they can achieve." "And you," Lyra replied, "have shown me that humans are more than survivalists. You are thinkers, fighters, and dreamers. I understand now why your species endures." Marcus smiled. "We endure because we refuse to be predictable, because we use our minds, hearts, and courage to survive. And sometimes, that's enough to outwit even the strongest foes." The stars began to glow as darkness fell. In the distance, the alien fleet's lights were no longer visible. They had retreated, temporarily defeated, but Marcus knew the galaxy was vast and full of challenges. Yet, for the first time, he felt a quiet confidence. Humans could endure anything. Their ingenuity, adaptability, and courage made them a force that no one should underestimate. Lyra looked at him. "Will they return?" "Perhaps," Marcus said, "but if they do, we'll be ready, and we'll face them together with what humans do best." She nodded, a faint smile on her lips. "Together." In that moment, Marcus realized that humanity's strength was not in weapons or numbers. It was in resilience, intelligence, and the willingness to rise when all odds were against them. That strength, combined with trust and cooperation, even with those once considered alien, made humans unstoppable. The colony thrived in the following weeks. Systems improved, defenses became more sophisticated, and morale soared. Lyra worked alongside humans, blending her knowledge with theirs, creating innovations that even Marcus hadn't imagined. She had arrived as a fugitive, seeking only survival, and now she had become a vital part of their community. Marcus reflected on the journey. He had faced fear, uncertainty, and impossible odds, yet humanity had triumphed, not through brute strength alone, but through creativity, courage, and determination. They had survived the night, protected one of their own, and proven their value to an alien who once doubted them. Even as he looked toward the stars, knowing future challenges would come, Marcus felt hope. Humans had risen before and would rise again. Lyra's presence reminded him that survival was not just a matter of endurance. It was a matter of heart, intelligence, and trust. Together, humans and their allies could overcome anything. And so, on the edge of explored space, with a fugitive alien now part of their lives, Marcus Kane and the colony stood ready. The galaxy might be vast, dangerous, and unpredictable, but humanity had endured before, and they would endure again. The courage, ingenuity, and spirit that defined them could not be broken. As night fell over the colony, Marcus glanced at Lyra. "You asked me not to send you back," he said, "and I didn't. But more than that, you've become part of something bigger. You've become part of humanity." She smiled softly. "And you've shown me what it truly means to be human." The stars sparkled above them, vast and endless, full of unknown dangers and possibilities. But Marcus Kane knew this. No matter what came next, humans would face it head-on. They would adapt, they would survive, and they would rise. Because that was what humans did. And somewhere in the distant reaches of the galaxy, an alien fleet would remember the lesson. Never underestimate humanity.